welcome back, or welcome to. It's been a long morning already, apparently.
We've been here all night.
Oh, I'm so exhausted. Welcome to the Tuesday morning edition of Mornings with Luann and Tim.
And Frosty.
And Frosty. I love Frosty. He's a cutie patootie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what?
He's not going to melt.
Big news out of Washington this morning.
I haven't been.
Ivanka Trump is going to be on the hot seat today because she did government business on her personal email account, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Right?
What was she thinking after all that?
Did her father not make the biggest issues in the world?
Lock her up.
Still does every chance he gets, and then she goes and does it. Duh. Just saying.
I couldn't believe it when I heard that.
I was like, really? Really?
What about the emails? But the emails, lock her up. I know all those.
You know what, though?
What?
What's her title? What does Ivanka do?
First daughter. I don't know. She has a title, doesn't she?
Yes, I don't know what it is, though.
Daddy's little girl. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What's Jared? Jared's in. Oh, Jared's in charge of foreign affairs or something.
Yeah, he's in charge of.
He's in charge of getting
Trump's affairs.
Getting money from Saudi Arabia.
There's a full-time job.
Did you hear that Angela? What do they say? Angela Merkel. Anyway, the what is she? The Chancellor of Germany.
Yes.
Okay. Germany has now joined France with sanctions against Saudi Arabia. Not just sanctions, canceling any orders they have for weapons.
Stop it.
Everything, no matter if it's a contract that's currently on the go, cutting it.
Angela, you get her done, girl.
Yeah, and what's his name from France that I like so much?
Macron.
Yeah, him. They have canceled all contracts.
For them.
So that leaves Donald Trump as one of the only world leaders who is still spending money in Saudi Arabia.
But he comes right out and says, I don't want to ruin a good deal.
They showed the clips of him saying on the campaign trail, come on, they come over, they buy buildings from me, $4 million, $5 million. What, I'm not supposed to like them?
Yeah.
He said that on the campaign trail.
So
now we know exactly where his mind is at. It's all about the money and not about the morality and the humanity and the crimes against mankind.
That too. Today's World Child Day.
It's World Child Day.
I thought of you immediately.
Because I'm a child. I'm eternally youthful.
Is that what that is?
I'm like Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Without the ability to fly. If I could fly, I would so not be here.
You know what, though? In the news, coming up later in the show, I have a story about how in Canada right now, 1.4 million children live under the poverty line.
Now that we have a poverty line. Did you know we didn't have a poverty line until just recently?
Really?
Not officially. We did not have an official poverty because you were gone. Riley was on the show and she said, Canada now has a poverty line. And I was like, what does that mean? Is there like a 1-800 number? She said, no. I thought she meant like a poverty line.
There's always been a poverty line.
Not officially. Imagine that.
What?
Yeah.
So 1.4 million kids. This problem was supposed to be fixed in 2000.
How many of us live in Canada? There's only like 20, how many million people? 20 million, 30, I don't know what the population is now. 26 million? 36? I thought, wow,
so
the population's gone up a lot since I was a kid. I'm just saying that's too large a percentage of children living in poverty. In our country, that's a lot.
I thought you were calling out the number.
No, that's accurate. No, 1.4 million.
It's way too much.
Way too high for our country.
Oh, absolutely.
How
definitely.
many of those are people living in First Nations communities?
So there's a bunch of people, Canada, the Campaign 2000 folks, it was supposed to all change in 2000. 18 years later, they're still trying to get it done. And the story that I'll be talking to you about later in the newscast is about how they are trying to push ahead still. And trying to get, for instance, people who, teenage moms who want to go back to school, they need daycare. People who have full-time jobs, 2 working parents can't get daycare. So how are these poor children supposed to be taken care of? So their moms don't go back to school, they don't get jobs because they have to stay home with their babies. So the community just keeps rolling along.
There's a thing called Contact North now. I interviewed a lady.
Yes.
You can go online and get your education at home.
Isn't that awesome?
I know, and it's like it's a government thing. So that's a good idea.
That's an awesome idea.
That would help, but still, 1.4 million children.
Oh, that's too many. And you know what? It's
Canada.
expensive to have children. It is. It's like
Expensive to have dogs. Oh, I didn't know
Not
what that.
quite
You were
the
clicking
same
your pen.
thing.
I thought the ceiling was falling in on me. I didn't know what
just
that
clicking.
was.
Sorry. Hey, Dancing with the Stars controversy.
Well, there was controversy 2 weeks ago when they let that really nice, whatever his name was, Juan Pablo guy. He was the best dancer in the competition, and he didn't get through because it's all because nobody knew
Popularity.
who he was.
I don't watch that show anymore. I love dance shows. I don't watch it anymore.
So last night was the finale. I didn't get to see it because I was in rehearsal. And Bobby Bones, who is a country DJ, VJ, I don't know what they call them anymore. Anyway,
Radio announcer.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
On the country music station, right? And he was also acting like as a mentor, I think, on The Voice at one point. That's how I first saw him. Anyway, he won. And
Neil Patrick Harris
tweeted, said, this is now after watching the final finale of Dancing with the Stars, I remember why I don't watch Dancing with the Stars.
It's just popularity. I stopped watching it years ago.
And then people are saying, well, then you're not appreciating how hard Bobby Bones worked to get to where he was. There they are there. No.
I didn't see it, so I can't really comment, but...
No, Luann. I mean, I didn't see the finale, but I can tell you, up until then, there was no way that he was... I mean, it's a popularity contest. You know who...
But why is he so popular? He must be an awesome...
Huge fan base. Country music, USA, hello. Yeah. Huge fan base.
Right.
Hello. Frankie Muniz. Remember him,
Yes.
Malcolm in the Middle, when he was a little kid?
Yes.
He was on Dancing with the Stars. I think he won. I think he actually was a performer winner.
He was very close.
He currently now is the host of Dancing with the Stars Juniors.
Oh, cool.
He flew to Paris. Unfortunately, his uncle Skip died, and he flew to Paris. And while he was in Paris, while they were away, his cat back home turned on the faucet. And when he and his wife arrived home after something like 42 hours of travel back and forth, and 27, anyway, they flew home from Paris, and they arrived home to discover that 4 stories of his 5-story home were underwater because the cat turned on the faucet while they were out of town. He lost everything. Everything's destroyed. Every wall, every piece of artwork, all of his personal photos, his furniture.
Oh my word.
He said that he, after just going over the, after losing his uncle Skip and then coming home and finding this, he's cried more in the last 2 days than he has in his entire life.
That cat would be sayonara, baby.
Can you imagine?
I mean, seriously.
4 stories of water. But it was 3 feet in every floor, I guess, because at some point it starts to trickle down. Like he said, 3 feet in every room, 4 stories high.
Oh my word, I'd be ticked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so not good.
No, well maybe
Poor critter.
Maybe they could do a show like rather than Dancing with the Stars, they could do like the Esther Williams thing where you underwater ballet.
And then come up and go.
Yeah, poor
the
Frankie.
water.
I'm sorry, but you're rich. You'll get over it.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I meant to say about Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah, what?
Avril Lavigne did a live performance. Very rare these days for us to see her do anything live.
Bouncing back from Lyme disease.
Yeah, doing Head Above Water. She did it live last night.
Frankie Muniz.
Oh! Look at us.
I shouldn't laugh at someone's misfortune.
You shouldn't.
No, I know. RCMP. Okay, so there's that sexual harassment. What is it? It's a class action lawsuit?
Oh, it's been ongoing.
Yeah, so they figured it would max 1,000 people. This is sexual harassment and sexual assault in the workplace at the RCMP. This is interesting because I just on Monday we aired the interview with Inspector Monique Rowland from the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service talking about how we need more women in leadership roles and that there's it's equity in the workplace for female leadership in law enforcement. So here we are, RCMP. They are expecting maybe 1,000 people to get together on this class. They're at 3,131 complaints now launched against the RCMP for...
Apparently it's quite the boys club. This has been ongoing for years. If you read anybody's perspective on that, it's kind of like what the Catholic Church did with the priests. You just move
St.
them
Michael's
along.
did with the...
That is...
You talk about that in the news?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's such a shame.
And that's more of a... I think that's more of a hockey culture than it is a Catholic school culture.
I don't know about that.
The hazing?
Well, it's more than hazing.
Well,
it's
it's more than
assault.
sexual
It's sexual assault
Yeah.
with a broom handle. That poor child.
And
But
the
six of
principal says the
students-
reason I didn't report it to the police was because the victim hadn't told his parents yet.
Right.
Come on. There's no rule book for this kind of thing.
It was only a couple
The
of days.
law. There's a law of the rule book.
It was only a couple of days that he didn't report it. But still, you're absolutely right. To convey to the child that you are listening and believe him, you need to do something about it right then and
You're
there.
the adult. Take control. You're the
Yes.
principal, for heaven's sakes.
Absolutely. Aren't we the happy bunch this
Well,
morning?
no, you know what? We're gonna lighten things up.
Okay, good. Who's
Because
coming?
Lucas Beaver is here, the director and choreographer of Mamma Mia, which opens tomorrow night at the Sault Community Theatre Center. Tickets are still available. Lucas is on the show live, and then I have a lovely recorded interview with a local author, Paula to talk about a workshop that she has coming up on how to write a memoir.
Oh, awesome.
All of this and the news with Luann coming up. Don't go anywhere. Yes.
What was I gonna say? I wish I didn't have to get up. Because then I could go, what's the matinee?
Here we go. Hi, Lucas Beaver.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining me this early in the morning.
my pleasure.
I know you've had some. I talk about late nights. Your nights are later than mine. I'm sure your days are longer than mine. Director, choreographer of Mamma Mia, which opens tomorrow night at the Sault Community Theatre Center.
Yes.
5 performances: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Matinee Sunday was added because tickets are selling so well, but there are still tickets available. You can go to saultctc.ca to get those tickets, or down to the box office in the Station Mall. I wouldn't suggest taking your chances and showing up at the door, because I just saw the Sunday matinee. I was buying some tickets for some friends. They're already into the
galleries,
section
yeah.
there. So let's talk about you. That's why you're here. You and I met 1996-ish.
Yeah, around
I
there.
came back to Sault Ste. Marie. You were involved in a production of Fiddler on the Roof that Susan Barber was directing.
Yeah.
We ended up on stage together in that one.
Yes.
But your background before that, we had some friends in common. Tell me about when you started off as a dancer, a young little dancer, Lucas Beaver.
I started dancing the same year I started kindergarten. I started.
You were so tiny.
I was very tiny. I always used to. My mom tells the story that I danced around the living room, and one of the first things I learned to do was to turn on the tape player and put on music. So
Really?
she put me in dance.
Yeah.
The same year I started kindergarten, and I danced at Canada School of Dancers.
See, that's where I danced too, but I was 15 when I started. You were like 4 or 5.
I was young.
Wow. And so that was Kim Greco.
Kim Greco, yeah.
And you danced there for...
I danced competitively there until high school, when I started
you were
to
there
do
that long
yeah,
with
when I
Kim.
started to do more community theater.
Okay. And then you made the decision after you left Sault Ste. Marie to actually make this a career for yourself.
Yes.
But not before, then you decided to go triple threat, acting, singing, dancing, not just being a dancer.
I moved to the Toronto in January 2000.
Okay.
The program I started at the Randolph Academy started in January. They have 2
Were you
intakes.
were you one of the inaugural classes at the George Randolph Academy?
No.
It was there before you started.
Yeah, that's was in the 90s.
Oh, okay. So you've been
Mid-90s,
around for about
around there.
Okay.
And I started January.
And at the George Randolph Academy, you study all 3, right?
All 3. Acting, singing, and
acting,
dancing.
singing, and dancing. So what's it like now? So that was, you graduated or you left?
I was there 2000, 2001.
You ended up working there
I
afterwards,
worked at the
didn't you?
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In administration, correct?
I was the program director of the college program
Really cool.
by the time I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you come home to Sault Ste. Marie to direct. What was the first show you directed? This is your 3rd in Sault Ste. Marie that you've directed?
This
am I
would
right?
be the 4th.
I'm sorry, Lucas.
No, I had come home. I was home. I kind of go back and forth. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, you're based in Toronto.
Based in Toronto.
But you have family here, your mother, your
I was
grandmother.
home for a summer working in Batchewana, and that's when I did Mary Poppins with you.
Oh, right, okay.
And then that's
I know
that's when
you
the
did
guild. Yeah, that's when the guild had asked me to do Why Do
played
Fools Fall in Love? That was the first show.
That was when they asked you to direct Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
Yeah. So I did Why Do Fools Fall in Love and the Andrews Brothers.
Right, and those were 2 dinner theater productions.
Dinner theater. And then in the spring of this year, we did 9 to 5.
Oh,
and then now Mamma Mia.
This is the fourth. 9 to 5. So 9 to 5 was your first time moving in from the dinner theater stage to the theater center, which is quite a big leap. Did you find that daunting at all, going from a smaller venue to the large venue, or you had enough of a background?
Not really. I think more of my shows were in a big venue. I found it more daunting probably to work in a small venue.
Okay. Because of the restrictions of technical...
Well, not just the restrictions. I mean, there is restrictions, obviously, to the size of the stage. You're dealing with a smaller cast.
Right.
A lot of those shows were jukebox musical shows, so they cram so many songs into a shorter period of time.
Right.
And some of them sound the same because they're by the same style of music.
Right.
So you really have to think outside of the box as far as choreography of not making every ballad look like the same ballad when you're dealing with a 4x4 square, so to speak. Do
you think there's a benefit to being a director and choreographer as opposed to just being a director and then, not just being a director who then brings somebody in to choreograph the dances?
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty sure that you and I had this conversation before, or if it wasn't you, it was with the people that we know down in Toronto. Because back in the day, it was director-choreographer, and now there's more director and choreographers professionally that are doing both.
Right.
I think it depends. I think you just need to look at who the best person for the job is for that specific project.
And I was just thinking about sharing...
There's still directors that can choreograph, but the style of the choreography in that show might not be what their thing is. So they're going to bring in an associate or someone to assist them in that.
So, for instance, when Mamma Mia came up, when the rights for Mamma Mia came up, when the Guild finally got these rights after waiting for 20 years, I remember because after the show first came out, and Marie Arcangeletti and her husband Jim were still living in the Sioux, and Jim was a producer and Marie was the director, and they did all these. They were the first ones to do the mega musicals like Joseph and all these great big shows. So, I remember Marie saying, if the Guild ever gets the rights for Mamma Mia, I'm the director. And then it took so long, Marie and Jim left town. But when the rights did become available, I remember thinking, that's not a me show. I knew that I wasn't going to be interested in directing it because I just knew that there were better people like you out there. If this show had your name all over it as far as I was concerned. And because, certainly not just because of the nature of the show, but because it is it's this dance show, and I just felt like it needed a through line, and that's why I asked the question about director-choreographer. I think sometimes it's more difficult to try to share your vision with somebody else and get them to jump on board.
In that respect, yes.
In that respect. So with this show, where it's so intertwined, I mean, it really, and it's almost iconic, the music and choreography for this kind of show. So, now let's talk about the rehearsal, the casting process. Holy smokes, the auditions. You had, I think, over 100.
We had over 100 people.
Over 100 people showed up, and did you know you were going with a smaller cast? Was that your mindset?
I did. I had my sight set on 26 from the get-go.
And what did you end up with?
We have 26, so it's 13 men, 13 women.
Okay.
And it's almost evenly divided, that we have 12 principal secondary characters and then 14 ensemble cast members.
What was that like for you when you saw those people turning up? And did you expect that big of a turnout?
I figured we'd get a lot, but I didn't expect 100.
I kind of figured you would, actually. I figured as much. Isn't it? How did you find that, having to make those decisions?
It's hard. It's a hard decision to make because you're looking at people.
Tell 75 people you can't do the show. Oh, look, there's a picture of us in rehearsal. Oh, there's the guitar that gave me a concussion. Look at your mother's set, how nice it looks. Your mother and Chris Covey.
I think people are going to be very impressed with our set for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So the
countless hours. The
process of whittling down those people.
Yeah, it's hard. I did choreography first, so I made everybody.
I remember
go through the whole process. So we danced for about 3 hours.
I lost 5 pounds.
A lot of sweat in that studio.
Yeah.
And then I made everyone sing.
Yeah.
I made everyone sing, and then from there we made our callback decisions.
To the readings, yeah.
But it's also hard because you're not just looking at talent, you're looking at pairing people, you're pairing heights, you're pairing looks. And you're essentially, I always say, you're essentially putting a family together that's going to be together for 3 months.
And you got some fresh new faces.
Yeah, we got fresh new faces. It's
And
kinda
some
nice.
tired old faces.
And some tired.
More tired because you keep me up rehearsing till midnight. Now I know what I put you guys through for Mary Poppins 1:20 in the morning. Anyway, now let's talk about your creative team.
Myself.
Yeah. Musical
director Ronnie Dawson.
Amazing. The pit
Amazing.
band. They're rocking. That band is hot.
He's worked with me the last 2 shows.
Yeah. Set design.
Set design. Myself, my mother Valerie Horspool.
And Chris Covey. Yeah.
Christine Thomas, I should mention. She's been
stage manager.
She's stage manager
You're
for almost all
Friday.
my shows.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
it's a great show.
it is a great show. So being able to come home, Lucas, and do what you do professionally in your hometown, good feeling?
It's a great feeling to come home.
It is.
I always say when I come home, the community theater that we do in Sault Ste. Marie is some of the best I've seen, and I've seen a lot of community theater down in GTA.
Yeah.
Our facility is top notch compared to some of the facilities that people are working out of.
To have
And the people, there's a passion here that we can't deny.
Undeniable. Well, I'm looking forward to opening night.
Good.
I'm looking forward to tonight, the dress rehearsal. We have some of the musical theater performers from Cora get to come
We're
in
gonna
and
have our
watch,
first
which is
audience.
so much fun to have the students in the audience. We have to go. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I could talk to you for a long time. My old friend Lucas, my young old friend Lucas Beaver, director choreographer of Mamma Mia, please come and join us at the Sioux Community Theater Center Wednesday through Sunday, and you can go online. There's the poster right there. I was up, but you can go online. There's a Facebook page. There's also the SiouxCTC.ca. You'll find out more information about tickets there or the Station Mall box office. We'll see you tonight for
Yes, we
mic
will.
check at 7 o'clock, dress rehearsal, and we'll be back with the news with Luann after we have some banter. Stay with us on Mornings with Luann and Tim. Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you. Enjoy that.
That cold water and snow makes me feel, oh my gosh. I just heard on the weather this morning it's going to go down like to minus 19 one of these nights.
It was really cold this morning. It's crunchy outside. Tomorrow, same thing, but then after that, it warms up a little bit.
Hey, I forgot when Lucas was here, I was going to have him announce the winner of our Mamma Mia ticket winners.
Why don't you do it now,
We did
Tim?
a draw, and the winning ticket, the winning number was number 42. Linda Ramsey sent in an email to win tickets to our contest page. Congratulations, Linda. You've won 2 tickets to Mamma Mia. We'll see you there. We also have our latest Greyhound draw. This is 2 tickets for the November 21st Sudbury Wolves game, I believe. Anyway, that was the answer. Who are they playing on the 21st? The answer was the Sudbury Wolves, and the winner of the 2 Greyhound tickets is David Curry. Congratulations
Awesome.
to all of our winners.
Congratulations, you
Go to
guys.
our contest page at SiouxOnline.com, and you will be able to find the different contests that we have ongoing and have some fun and win some free stuff from Superior Media.
You know what? That's big news, but I have bigger news.
What is it?
Paris Hilton and Chris Zilka are no longer engaged.
Oh no!
Right?
Whatever will the rich girl
the world
do.
is like, I'm so devastated. I can't even.
Paris
I can't
Hilton.
stop the
Is she still a
tears.
thing?
I don't know. She's got money. She'll always.
Of course,
be a
she's got
thing.
money. She's a Hilton.
You know what, though? Interestingly enough, she has a 20-carat engagement ring.
Like,
this
wanna see my ring?
looks. You know what? It looks fake. It's so huge.
It's so huge.
20 carats, worth $20 million, and apparently because she broke off the relationship in California, if he wants the ring back, she's got to give it to him.
Oh, I want that ring back.
I would say, give me the ring.
Oh, give me the ring back and a pair of skates so I can go skate. Is that
Right?
it?
That's it. You should see it.
Oh my glory!
It's ridiculously big. Like, you know what? I love jewelry, but yeah, that thing looks like it's out of a quarter machine. You know what I mean? Because it's
Do you
so
remember the
big.
scandal of Paris Hilton when she was caught on tape? She was a sex tape.
Oh, is that
You
how
never
she
heard
became,
Paris Hilton? Do you remember this? Her boyfriend taped them. And then it got leaked, and it was Paris
like
Hilton
Kim
and a sex
Kardashian.
tape. And I remember because Joan Rivers made the joke saying, "Oh, Paris Hilton," and she was a sex tape, and the family was mortified. I mean, can you imagine? And because the tape was made at a Marriott.
That Joan. I love Joan.
God rest her dead soul.
Yeah. Well, okay. God rest her dead soul.
I guess souls aren't dead, are they?
Well, you know what though? When you say God rest your soul, you assume the person's dead. I don't think you need to like insert that drama moment.
I don't know. I think that's an expression.
I don't think you're right. God bless your soul, Joan Rivers.
Look it up.
Yeah, you
got
look
the
it up.
news coming up, Lou.
I do. Yes, I do.
I do.
I do.
Well, then I'm going to stay tuned because I want to find out what happened in the world in Sault Ste. Marie.
You should, because it's very, very vital to know. Information is power, as I say all the time. God bless your soul, Tim Murphy.
Okay, we'll be back with Luann in the news. Don't go anywhere. You want to hear what this woman has to say right after this.
Welcome back to Mornings with Luann and Tim. You know, I was just reading on Twitter. This is astounding. You know, plastic, how there's just way too much of it.
Yes.
The trash in the oceans is disgusting.
Okay.
We've seen video of pieces of straw having to be pulled out of turtles' noses, and you know that it's just awful. Indonesia, a dead sperm whale washed ashore. It contained in its stomach 115 plastic cups, 4 bottles, 25 plastic bags, 2 flip-flops, a nylon sack, and 1,000 other pieces of plastic. They can't tell if that's what killed the whale or not, because he was so decomposed. But apparently after China, Indonesia is the biggest polluter of plastic. Imagine.
What are we going to do? What are we going to... Oh. What are we going to do? We have to stop it. No more straws. No more... Back to paper?
You know what?
Like everything?
Wash your glass. Use tap water. Put it in the fridge. That's what I do. I hate warm water. But I don't use I mean... To be fair, I have bottled water in my cold room in case of emergency.
Okay.
But I don't use bottled water. To me, it's...
Lucas, that was just on the show,
Yes.
forbade us from bringing plastic bottled water to rehearsals. He said, no,
Wow.
He had a thing there. He said, there's nothing wrong with the tap water in this city. So he had a big jug, and he would put the cold water in the jug, and you could go and do the little pour thing and have little
Good
paper.
for him.
Yeah, and have your own cups or whatever. You bring your own bottles not bottles, but your water
Right.
containers that you would reuse. Did not want plastic bottles in the rehearsal
Good
space. He
for
didn't want any
him.
part of that.
Good for him.
Well, that's something you could do in your workplace. Just forbid it.
Well, you
just
know what?
say,
Just
we
stop
don't do
using
plastic.
it. Yeah.
Just stop.
And everybody, whine and complain and oh, it's just environmental. Then what can I do?
But-
you know what? If you do not use one bottle, that's one bottle less than this whale is going to eat, or his brother,
Or his cousin.
or his son, or he could have had a daughter.
He was a sperm whale. He could have
Thank
had a lot
you.
of kids.
Tons of kids.
Now listen.
They could be full of plastic, flip-flops and everything.
And I don't understand because don't be cat me now. Make stuff out of vegetable stuff like this plastic. You
Everything.
can make completely compostable.
Absolutely.
Why don't we just doing that?
Why don't we just
Any
wash
plastic we make
dishes
from now-
anymore? People just don't even
That
know how
reminds
to
me,
wash a
I gotta
dish.
go wash the dishes in the
Yeah,
sink.
you do.
Here.
I
There's
was
a
just
whole
going to
bunch of-
talk to you about that.
There's a whole bunch of coffee
there's
cups in the
bugs
sink, and I
flying-
got stop
oh,
it.
Seriously,
There's
it's
no bugs.
disgusting.
Listen, we're going to take a break now. Stop it.
Okay.
When we come back, Paula Dunning, who's a local author, is going to talk about a workshop that she's putting on how to write a memoir, and it's a whole full day event though. It's a lot of fun. Blind River, and there's going to be entertainment in the evening, and you'll check it out after this on Mornings with Her and Me. Right after this.
am very happy to welcome into the studio today Paula Dunning. Hello, Paula.
Hi,
Shake
Jim.
your head. Nice to see you
Nice to see
again.
you.
We are acquaintances.
We are, yeah.
My sister Mary Lynn is a friend of yours.
She's a good friend
and
of
she's
mine.
a friend of mine.
Wonderful writer. Yeah.
She is, and she has actually mentioned you to me about your writing, and she's a big fan of yours. This is the book that you've written, Shifting Currents, a memoir. You wrote this. When was this published, Paula?
October of 2016. So,
Oh, so
about
it's pretty
2 years
recent.
ago.
It's
About
pretty
2 years
recent.
ago, yeah.
Now, very interesting. You had quite a past. The memoir is
Yeah.
about your experiences, sort of shifting currents, shifting lifestyles. Really,
yeah.
Let me tell me a little bit about what you're covering in this book. What the memoir actually covers. What time and
Okay.
what part of your life?
Okay, it covers my early adulthood. It touches initially on the years, my early married life in the 60s.
Okay.
And our decision to move to Canada from the U.S.
Okay.
But it moves quickly to a decision to go back to the land. That was a time, you remember, when there were a lot of movements. People were wanting to get on bandwagons
Were
to
you a
save the
hippie?
world. That's a really good question. I don't think I was ever a hippie,
Okay.
but I was certainly a wannabe.
Okay.
I was certainly a hippie wannabe, but I don't think I ever made the cut.
Was it political climate that was one of the reasons why you wanted to leave the U.S. and come to Canada?
Yeah, of course it was.
Okay,
good. And so most of the book takes place after we purchased a farm and decided to go back to the land, which was a place we had never been.
And the land you chose was local to us.
Oh yeah, it's along the Echo River, outside Echo Bay.
You bought a farm.
We did.
Without any farming experience.
Well, we had a couple of we'd rented a farm in southern Ontario when my husband was in grad school. We'd rented a farmhouse and we'd had a couple of goats because we had a child who was allergic to cow's milk, and it seemed to us the obvious thing then was to buy a goat.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
And then, so no, you very little farming experience.
Very little.
But you
yeah.
bought this farm.
Yes.
And you farmed.
We did.
For 15 years.
We did.
Raised a family. Did you have children before you bought the farm, or did your children come with the farm? Did you have children because you needed help?
That's right. No, we had 2 children when we moved to the farm, and we had a third after we had been there for a couple of years. Yeah.
And what sort of farming did you do?
Well, to the extent that it was a business enterprise, which is debatable, it was a cow-calf operation.
Cow-calf, okay.
But it was a lifestyle thing for us too, and so we had horses and we had sheep and we started out with goats, but we didn't keep the goats for too long because it seemed silly to have both goats and cows.
Okay.
So we had pigs and turkeys.
How much
chickens.
land did you do? Do you still have the same property?
Yeah, we still have the same property. We still live there.
How large is the parcel of land?
Well, the parcel of land is about 300 acres. But
oh my gosh!
But most,
you bought 300 acres of land having the, oh my gosh, you were crazy.
But a lot of that's bush.
Okay.
A lot of that's bush.
So now the story, I love the title Shifting Currents because you talk about the Echo River. You were explaining to me that the Echo River sort of has a push and pull, and that it's one of the only, tell me the story, it was one of the only 2 rivers.
Well, I don't know.
Legend
has it that it is one of 2 rivers in the world that actually changes direction.
Very
now,
cool.
ultimately, it always goes out.
Right.
It's going to end up in the ocean,
But
like all the others.
The flow shifts
But the
at
flow
times.
does shift back and forth, and I've seen that happen.
And the flow of your life has shifted back and forth.
It does a bit.
Well, when you talk about shifting currents, you were going from one life into another. And I love on the back of the book, this phrase, this is quite succinct. The story of a woman becoming. That alone. Well, come on. A family prevailing, of shifting mores in a world of upheaval, an era of experiment. But most of all, it's a portrait of a time and place. When you write a memoir like this, Paula, the difference between writing fiction and a memoir, huge, obviously.
Well,
because
both huge and not huge.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Okay.
both of them, they have in common that they tell a story, and that they have to tell a story well enough that people want to read it. So I mean, they're both story based.
Right.
They both have a flow through, a line, an arc of some sort. But of course, while people who write fiction may draw on their lives, people who write memoir are relying pretty exclusively on their lives.
On their lives. And what you said to me before we went to air was that one of the key things to do is to take your story and somehow make it interesting and make it appealing to... Oh, so I asked you about the definition of a memoir, and you said there's probably hundreds, but you quoted one that I loved.
Yeah, I love it too. Now I'm going to have to try to remember it again.
Universal.
You challenged
Universal.
me. You said it. I said it is the. A memoir is not the story of your life. It's the story of something universal of which you are an example.
You're an example of something
Something universal.
No, that's what you said.
Yeah, and it sounds rather presumptuous, but in fact, we all have tons of universal stories about our lives.
Right.
I mean, universal doesn't mean out of reach. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The universal stories are the ones that we share with everyone.
One of your universal stories was the struggle you went through trying to. So you were a woman who had a career, but you also raised a family. You stayed at home with your children, but you, to a certain degree, were also an activist and a feminist, and you were searching for a way to be true to what you felt without, I don't know, how would you say it?
Yeah, I didn't actually have a career, and that was part of my struggle, because in those years, but in these years too, I think women are faced with the choice about how to devote their energies and how to balance. And I made a choice to stay home with my family and raise my children. And in some ways, I think when I look back that the farm justified that for me. Okay. I thought if I'm not out in the workforce, and goodness knows in 1972 the women's libbers thought I should be, but I didn't really want to be. I wanted to be raising my family, and if I was also milking cows and collecting eggs and plowing fields, then that made it okay.
Now you're sharing your experience writing a memoir in a workshop that's coming up.
Yes.
And that's going to be in
Bruce Mines.
Bruce Mines. So it's just a little outside of Sault Ste. Marie, not far at all.
Nope, that's right.
And it's what the date of it is?
October 24th.
It's going to be a full day event, though. I mean, the workshop is in the afternoon.
The workshop is in the morning.
Morning. Sorry, you said 10 o'clock until about 12:30.
10 to 12:30.
Okay, so about 2.5 hours.
That's right. So.
And then later in the evening, you're going to get back together again with whoever wants to go, and it's more of a coffee house, music. You're doing readings.
Well, I think it's kind of in 3 chunks.
Okay.
The morning is a workshop, and I would encourage anybody.
Facilitating.
I'm facilitating, and I would encourage anybody who's interested in finding a way to write their stories so that others are interested in reading them might consider coming. The afternoon is going to be kind of a coffee shop environment where people can do free writing or read a book or sit and chat with a friend. And then in the evening, we'll have more of a performance where I'll do some reading, and Jeff Hinnage, who is a local musician and a songwriter, will be performing. We'll alternate. I don't think he won't sing while I read, but we'll take turns.
You'll take turns.
We'll take turns.
Now, for the workshop itself, is there a registration process?
There is. You should go online to Stories in the North.
That's the group.
Stories in the North is the group that puts these workshops on. They do these a couple times a year.
You just Google Stories in the North and you're going to find them.
Stories in the North, and you'll find them, and then there will be directions about how to register for the workshop.
Right. And so, what does it cost?
The morning workshop is, I believe, $40.
Okay, great.
And the evening performance is $10.
All right. And so they're going to come in and you're going to just sort of talk about your experience writing your memoir. And you also talked about the difference between people who have kept journals and people who don't keep journals. You're not a journaler.
No, I have tried to be a journaler, but
I'm terrible at it.
I've never been able to keep it up for more than a
me
few weeks
neither.
at a time.
So you're one of those memoir writers who goes strictly from memory.
Pretty much from memory. Although, in fairness, although I've not been a journaler, I've always been a story writer, and so. Over the years, I had a lot of little stories that I'd written, so I could go back to the little stories, and that's what I did when I wanted to put this together. I went back to the collection of little stories that I had,
Right.
and then I, of course, once I got going, I added a lot, but I had a little bit to work with. But
So, and no experience necessary for this workshop. Anybody's
gosh,
just,
no.
It's about
Anybody.
curiosity. If anybody who thinks they might have an
Anybody who
interest.
thinks they might have a story to tell that they would like a little bit of help and advice and
I also saw
motivation.
in my research on the day that they're also offering, I believe, Stories of the North is also offering ideas about what you can do in Bruce Mines if you choose to go and not attend the coffee shop thing. There's other things you could do. It sounds like they're really making a great day of this whole thing.
I think they are. Yeah.
Well,
I think they are.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Our time is up, but this book is available through Amazon.
It is.
And it's also available locally. And can you tell me where a couple of places where we can pick up your book?
The Totem Pole at Fourth Line
Yes.
carries my book. The Art Gallery gift
do
shop
they?
has it.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm just trying to think where else. Out of town,
Yeah.
it's available. It was available at Tippecanoe in Bruce Mines.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's out there.
Well, I want to thank
And
you.
it's also available from me, if anybody. Yeah.
Well, that's where I bought my copy, and I'm going to give this to you right now, and I'm going to ask you to sign it on camera. Don't write anything nasty. So it's been my pleasure to have Paula Dunning on the show, and once again, you can check out Stories of the North and Paula's workshop happening on November the 24th in what do I say? Bruce Mines.
Bruce Mines.
Bruce Mines. Thanks for being here, Paula.
You're very
I'm looking forward to
welcome.
reading that book. Stay with us. We'll have more Mornings with Luann and Tim right after this. I did that thing I always do, Luann. Earlier in the show,
You're a Saultite.
I'm a Saultite. I said the thing with Paula Dunning is in Bruce Mines, not Blind River. Bruce Mines is so close. Blind River's an hour and a half away. Bruce Mines. I'm sorry, Paula. Bruce Mines.
I'm from down the line, and since I moved to Sault Ste. Marie, I've
Discovered?
realized that Saultites do not know what's east of them.
I'm going to drive to Sudbury and just figure out where I live.
Make a list.
Okay. What day is this?
Today's Tuesday.
Tomorrow's a hump day. We'll see you then on Mornings with Luann and Tim.
Have a great afternoon. Thanks for watching.